We're going to begin by looking at adding fractions. And whenever you add fractions, you follow three simple steps really. You have to find a common denominator. And if there isn't one, you have to get one. So, you also, then once you find a common denominator, you add the numerators and keep the same denominator. Then finally, if you're redirected, reduce your final answer if it's possible. So let's look at a couple examples here. In the first example 1, I have 1/9 plus 2/9. So I can just add my numerators since I have the same denominator and keep the denominator the same. So that gives me 3/9, and I can reduce that by dividing the top by 3 as long as I divide the bottom by 3. So that gives me 1/3, and that is your reduced form. In example 2, we're adding two mixed numbers. So what I need to do first is go ahead and change these to improper fractions. You can add and subtract fractions without changing them, but it involves some borrowing and carrying, and it also is hard to do when it comes to multiplication and division. So we're just going to stick with one method. So remember, in order to change a mixed number into an improper fraction, we have to multiply the denominator times the whole, and then add on that numerator, and that becomes our new numerator. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 would be 22, and that's back over 5. Then I want to do the same thing with the second number. I want to take 5 times 1, which would be 5, plus 3, which would be 8, over 5, and I'm going to erase that portion. And now I add the numerators. 22 plus 8 over 5, which turns out to be 30 over 5, which is the same as 6. What happens if we don't have a common denominator? Let's look at example 3 here. 5/6 plus 4/5. Now, since 6 and 5 obviously are not the same number, what I need to do is find a common multiple of those numbers. And the least common multiple of 6 and 5 is 30. So that's going to be our new denominator, which we call the LCD. It isn't necessary to find the least common denominator, but it'll save your reducing if you do. So now I want to rewrite both of these. Instead of having 6 or 5 in the denominator, with 30 in the denominator. So what can I multiply 6 by to get 30? Well, that's 5. And to make an equivalent fraction, I can multiply the bottom times any number so long as I multiply the top by the same number. Because really, I'm multiplying by 1. So I change the way the fraction looks without changing its value. So now 5 times 5 is 25. And that's rewritten with a denominator of 30. In order to get 30 here, I have to multiply 5 by 6. And I can do that as long as I multiply 4 times 6, which would give me 24. And now, just as before, I add the numerators and keep the same denominator. So I get 49 over 30. if I would try to reduce this, I see that they're both not even, so 2 will not go into them. And 4 plus 9 doesn't sum to a number that is divisible by 3, so 3 will not go into them. And the only other number that'll go into 30 that's prime would be 5, which doesn't go into 49. So this is reduced. With example 4, we have two mixed numbers. So first I'm going to change these to improper fractions and then get a common denominator. So 5 times 1 would be 5 plus 2, 7/5, plus 3 times 10 would be 30, plus 3 would be 33/10. My least common denominator here is going to be 10. I already have 10 here, so I just bring it down. I need 10 here, so what do I multiply 5 by to get 10? Well, 2. And I can do that as long as I multiply the 7 by 2. So now I add the numerators. 14 and 33 turns out to be 47/10, which won't reduce, and you do not need to change it back to a mixed number. Finally, we'll do one example of subtracting fractions, because pretty much everything is the same, except instead of adding the numerators, you'll subtract the numerators. So I need a least common denominator, and it's going to be 42. So in order to get 42 in the denominator, then I'll multiply the 7 by 6 to get 42 as long as I multiply the 5 times 6. So I have 30/42. In order to get 42 here, I'll multiply the 6 by 7 as long as I multiply the 4 by 7, which would give me 28. And now, instead of adding, I subtract the numerators. 30 minus 28 would be 2/42. And if I wanted to simplify it, I could divide the top and the bottom by 2, which is going to give me 1/21. And that's my final answer.